obviously some things that Justin's athleticism allows you to do as a play call. What are the things that Andy's experience allows you to do that maybe Justin's inexperience doesn't quite allow you to do just yet?
Well, Andy has seen a lot, and he's probably over time been tricked and fooled like all quarterbacks get at some point. And so we all learn from experience. Wisdom comes from experience. And so you got a guy who's I don't want to say seen it all. That's an exaggeration, but seen a lot. And so he can foresee some things that are happening, especially if something comes up that maybe we didn't see on tape and didn't plan for. You know, I think this defensive coordinator was actually with Andy in Cincinnati, so they know each other. They've known each other a long time, and he's played against them in the past since then. So there could be some things that pop up, you know, from them knowing each other. I just think so. I think that experience over time hopefully gets you to the point where you're not surprised. One of the great things a quarterback has to be able to do is learn quickly and react and adjust. Sometimes something happens on the game field you're not ready for, and it might come up again before you get to the sideline or maybe before halftime. And so I think Andy's experience allows him to be ready to make the adjustment fast, sometimes without the ability to come talk to the coaches.
Bill, tracing back to the end of the Lions game, that last drive, 8.5 minutes come off the clock, you guys get the final result you're wondering. What were your biggest takeaways from the entire execution of that 18-play series?
I think we tried to use our entire offense. I shouldn't say entire. I think we tried to use a lot of offense. I think we changed personnel groups. We ran the ball. We had David Montgomery take a snap. We threw the ball. And we had to convert third downs. You know, we I think if I remember correctly, it seems like a long time ago now. I think it was 7 run, 7 pass until before we hit the penalty that they had. And then really 3 situational plays. So when you kind of look at the big picture of it, was a lot of different football that we did. We executed. Not every play was perfect, but we had a play that maybe wasn't real good, and so now we had a 2nd and 11, and we converted it without having to get to third down. So I just think the guys handled a ton of football. Nobody blinked. There was no panic based on the situation. Of course, when you get the ball at 8.5 minutes, you don't know what's going to be your last drive. But I just think they handled a lot of different football, a lot of different situations. They got 0 blitzed by the Lions. They got a bunch of different stuff happen to them. As you saw in the timeout that the Lions tried to take, there was a whole bunch of at-the-line stuff happening. And I thought the guys handled a lot of football. And sometimes that's what it takes, you know, to win a game. And so that was pretty good.
About obviously needing much more significant growth out of the offense as a whole, but it's 3 straight games where in the late stages of the fourth quarter you guys have gone down and gotten a drive. What does that tell you about growth, I guess, in this offense?
Well, I don't want to downplay winning because that's the most important thing, whatever we have to do to win. You know, the Las Vegas game we won without a whole lot of points, and we all were ecstatic that we won the game. The game played a certain way. You know, so winning is most important. But when you look at the last 3 weeks, I think some of the things that we've talked about in this room before, I think it's 3 weeks in a row and we've been over 7 yards a pass per pass attempt. Sometimes we've thrown it more than others, but there's been some growth that way in the passing game. There's been some growth, like you said, at the end of the game, critical spots with both quarterbacks. You know, it was just so you have to say the offense as a whole keeping their poise. We've had to do it both on the road and at home. So when you talk about the different cadences and being crisp with the different procedures. You'd like to think, I mean, I think the part of your goal as a coach is to watch your team get better as the year goes on. And so I'm trying to highlight the things I think we've gotten better at. You know, we still got ways to go.
I know you've lost 2 of those games that Dan was talking about, but in all 3 games, like he said, you're down, you're losing, you get the ball at the end of the game, you march down the field, you get the points to go ahead. What kind of confidence does that give the offense for future situations when you're in there? In situations like that?
Well, I think that's a good question to ask those guys. You know, because really what you're talking about is when they're in the huddle. It's easy for me to answer, right? But they're the ones that are out there. You know, you talk to Sam Mustipher and those guys who have to make all the calls. I think that's a great question to ask them if they approach it differently now. I think we all are happy with what we feel from them. That'd be a great question for them. And you come out of a game, you know. You're excited. You're hoping you get home in time that the turkey's still warm. And by the time you get to now, you're just, by the time you hit Monday, Tuesday of each game week as a coach, you look and say, gosh, I don't know if we can make a first down, and then you start working. By Wednesday, okay, we're thinking we're going to make a couple first downs. By Thursday, can we convert a third down, and then you get your confidence back as the week goes on. So I guess that's the cycle of the NFL.
Bill, on this.
But if you don't worry about can I get a first down or not, then maybe, you're not on top of it.
In the second half, Thursday, you're without Marcus Goodwin out. How do personnel issues affect what you call? And do you have to think that through, or is that on a position coach where you're just plugging in the next guy? And then during the course of this week, those guys are on your injury report, Colton is. I imagine it shapes your game planning a little bit, but you're probably cautious that it doesn't go too far in one direction.
Well, two questions. So on game day, immediately when a guy goes out, if there are some plays that were real specific to him, which often show up with either special plays or situational plays, and if no one else really repped it, and it's not maybe a training camp play, you might cross that off.
Literally with a marker or something?
Pencil. Because sometimes I come back in the game. I did have one this week. I crossed off in pencil, and then I erased it just so that my eyes wouldn't see it crossed off. I keep one pencil up there. And then usually the position coach will say, hey, we're good with everything except this. And then you just try to go. Now, there were maybe one or two calls where I knew guys were out, and so we had time where you could maybe flip the people by formation, as long as it's simple. If it's too complicated, then, hey, the replacement's just got to go if we really need that play. So in game, there's a little bit that you have to erase sometime, usually, but you try to keep as much of it going. If you get multiple guys down, then that becomes an issue. During the week, it's everything. Personnel is everything. And the hard ones, which we're dealing with, is some guys who are questionable. So we really want them to play and prepare, so we put some plays in that we know are specific to him. You don't want to overdo it if he doesn't play, but if he might play, well, shoot, let's get his best plays in. So that's the hardest one, I think, as coaches, is when you don't know yet if the guy's going to play.
Does that test your creativity and during the course of the week with, if that guy can't go, then, maybe I can put somebody here or do something?
That's the question is, okay, so if he can't go, does the guy who practiced it Wednesday take over and you still call it, or then do you just bag it because it's really just built for that guy and there's a little bit of both. You try to build as much as you can that the replacement can do it. But yeah, that to me, that's the challenge of when guys are questionable. Everyone wants to know, is he going to play? Is he practicing? How much is he practicing? As coaches, we want to know that too, because we got to plan the next area.
When the season started, James Daniels was new at right guard, so he's kind of getting settled at a new spot. The last month plus, how has he looked to you when you guys have gone over the tape after each week?
I think James has looked really good. There are some guys, when you flip right to left or left to right, don't make the transition easily. Maybe because James has spent so much time at center. I don't know if that affects it, or maybe he's just a guy that can do it. But I think he's only gotten better. I think it's a real testament to James how well replacement guys at right tackle have played, because you can't downplay how much he does for them, and talking and communicating and his experience, and not only just on the field, but even in the meeting room. Hey, this is how we'll handle that. This is the call I'll make. So I think the way we've been playing with replacement guys at right tackle also is a credit to James.
When you talked about you guys wanting to know if a player's healthy, it doesn't do you any good when you see questionable next to a guy's name. Are you then sort of at the mercy of the head coach and gamesmanship, no matter whether it's here or any of your previous stops, or do you know, like when the head coach knows a guy's going to play and he's not releasing that information, do you also know that the guy is going to play?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'll feel like I'm revealing too much of the inner workings of our staff and organization if I say that we do the best we can, as far as I know, of getting everyone on the same page so that we can plan accordingly, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think that's revealing too much. I think we try to do our best.
It was a small window for us yesterday, watching Justin move around. He looked mobile, looked like the velocity was there. What did you see with your eyes as he tries to work back and figure out where his, I guess, pain tolerance and just overall comfort is?
Well, I probably felt the same as you, watching him move around. I didn't know what it would look like, and I thought felt pretty good what I saw, but none of us know how it feels. We've all had backside core injuries, and sometimes sneezing hurts. So yeah, but no, I agree. He moved well. All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it.